Hello, everyone. I want to thank you for participating with Voters East of the Industrial Canal Forum. My name is Dawn Abear, and I'm going to start off with a question I'd like all of you to answer. I would like you to give me your full name, your profession, the number of years in that profession, what seat you are seeking, and your ballot number. Let's get started. Ms. Felix?
Sure, thank you. My name is Tanae Felix. I'm an attorney, and I have been practicing, specifically working for juveniles as a juvenile public defender for over a decade, and I am seeking Orleans Parish Juvenile Court Section F.
Thank you. And your ballot number?
Oh, I'm sorry. My ballot number is 111.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts?
Hi, thank you, Ms. Abear. My name is Nikki Roberts.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Okay, that's better.
My name is Nikki Roberts. I am an attorney. I'm employed as an assistant district attorney. I have been an attorney for almost 2 decades now. My ballot number is number 112, and I am running for juvenile court judge of Section F.
Thank you. Mr. Darrensburg.
Good evening. My name is Renard Darrensburg. I am an attorney and a social worker. I've been both a licensed attorney and social worker for 25 years. I most recently was a judicial administrator of juvenile court and have served as a judge in juvenile court. I am seeking the seat of juvenile court judge section F, and my ballot number is 109.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce all of you to Donna Glapion and Brandon Gilmore, who's with You're Going to Feel Me Now podcast. So we're going to get the questions started. Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. We're going to start with Ms. Felix first, then Ms. Roberts, then Mr. Darrensburg. And if you can, please keep your answers to a minute minimum, please. My first question, can you please discuss your vision for designing and implementing a reentry program for school-age children after being held at the Juvenile Detention Center?
Sure, thank you for that question. So currently, there is, when children are held at the Juvenile Justice Intervention Center for longer than 5 days, the children are paired with mentors through the Welcoming Project, and oftentimes they help to facilitate the reintegration of the child when they are released from the Juvenile Justice Intervention Center. And a part of that is the transitioning into school, as well as providing them with services and sort of activities that they can participate in after school. I do think that it is very important to make sure that the reintegration process is seamless, right? And so when a child is in school at the Juvenile Justice Intervention Center, that is considered, the Travis Hill School is considered a public school in New Orleans. And so I will work as a juvenile court judge to make sure that the transition is seamless, right? That it shouldn't have to be that the school that the child is transitioning to reaches out to Travis Hill to make sure that they get the records. I will work with the Juvenile Justice Intervention Center and with Travis Hill schools to make sure that when a child is released, they are released with all of their school records, and so that the parent can then make sure that those records are transitioned directly to the school when the child returns. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Felix. Ms. Roberts?
Thank you. I agree with Ms. Felix's introduction regarding the Welcoming Project, and I think they do a wonderful job. What I've seen in juvenile court is kids are having trouble obtaining their school records to be able to transition from Travis Hill. I'm not sure what the breakdown is between Travis Hill and the other schools, but I also don't believe that we should put additional burdens upon the kids' parents to have to get the records from Travis Hill and to have to bring those records over to the new school. I think it is Travis Hill's responsibility to make sure that when that child has been considered for release and you know that you're going to be processing that child out, that one of the items that should be included for processing that child out is that that child's records are automatically sent to the school system, because many times the judges ask, where is that child going to be registered for school? So we have that information so that those records can be sent. We're just having a breakdown and people aren't being held responsible for their breakdown, and that has to change.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Mr. Darrensburg.
Okay, well, thanks for the question. It's a very good question. Well, my belief and my vision is that reentry begins when the child comes into the court or goes into the facility, not when the child is coming out of a facility or out of detention. We must begin the preparation for coming out before a child even really enters the system. I believe that what my vision for a reentry system is, the child must remain connected to the community. Now, they are not going to just be reentering school. They're going to be reentering their families. They're going to be reentering their community. They're going to be reentering their church. So we need to make sure that those connections are seamless as well. In terms of making sure school records are kept in order, the juvenile court, what we implemented, I was instrumental in implementing, was a youth and family specialist position. And what that position does is make sure that the family and the youth move through the process more seamlessly. And what we can do, and what I can do as a juvenile court judge, is make sure that all things are in place when the child is released, but more importantly, to make sure that these connections are kept and made stronger while the child is away from the home.
Thank you, Mr. Darrensburg. My next question, can you please describe if any community programs you have worked with or implemented for the African-American community? And I say African-American community since our community faces disparities in education, mental health, and incarceration. Ms. Felix, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry, I didn't know if we were going to be doing the same order. So yes, I've worked with many programs that service the youth in the community. I've personally given my own time to many of these programs: Cafe Reconcile, Covenant House, the Youth Empowerment Project. I have gone to these programs after hours to do Know Your Rights presentations for a lot of the kids who are involved in these programs. And these are programs that serve our youth. What we know is that 98% of the children in Orleans Parish Juvenile Court are children of color. One of the things that my office strives to do, because while the court system does offer court-related programs for children when they come into the juvenile justice system, but one of the things that my office tries to do is we try to connect these children with services in the community that are separate and apart from court, right? Because children should not have to rely on the juvenile justice system to have access to the programs and services that they need in order to be successful. And so to that end, I would continue to work with a lot of these programs that offer services to the kids. We even made a connection with dancing grounds. We have little girls that come in and they want to dance, and their parents don't know that a lot of these programs are out there and that they're free, right? They just need to be connected to the programs. And so I will continue in the vein that my office does in making sure that these community programs, these programs that are not connected to the court, are made available for court children who are involved in the juvenile justice system.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts.
Thank you. So for me, I've been fortunate enough where my grandparents were both ministers before they passed away. And so I've been fortunate enough to be involved in many church youth ministries. And so I spend my time, my daughter just graduated from college, tutoring college students who are having trouble in subjects that I can help them with. I've also tutored high school students who've had trouble. I also do outreach programs with the churches that I am connected with for youth. Outreach program being if kids need help with tutoring, if kids just want someone to talk to. My brother has been in and out of the system, so I've been able to connect him for a mentor to kind of help these kids and be able to speak to some of the kids through the church ministry, just explaining to them, what their options are and what other things are in life and in the world that they can consider.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Mr. Darrensburg.
Thanks. Yes. My community, I've been very active in the community for my entire legal career. My community involvement implementing program dates back to 1992, when I, along with then State Senator Paulette Irons, began an organization in Gertown area called Community Volunteers Association. That organization was devoted to buying school supplies when we discovered that teachers were buying school supplies for their youth. So we were able to raise funds to buy school supplies for teachers as far back as 1992. Since I've been in the juvenile court system, I have written grants totaling over $500,000 and implemented programs in the juvenile court, including a program for young women that's hugely successful, a GROW program, Girls Reaching Out Works Wonders. I wrote the grant for that program. That program has been in existence now for 5 years. We have a men's program, MELLOW, Men Engaged in Leadership Opportunities Works. That program is for young men, also successful, also in existence for about 4 or 5 years now. These are programs that are successful in the court and programs that are used by both the public defender and the DA's office when they're looking for programs to put youth in the court. In addition to that, I wrote a grant and secured funds for a teen court program in the juvenile court, which we are struggling to get kids into, but is a phenomenal program that really sees good effects with children in the court system. In addition to that, I've raised over $2.5 million for the juvenile court and court reimbursement funds for implementing programs that keep children in the home and out of foster care and juvenile detention. So programs, I believe that judges have a responsibility to go out into the community and find the services that are needed. I also, along with one of the judges in juvenile court, wrote the proposal that is now the Evelyn Reporting Center that the city administration uses outside of the court, with a Project Restore in Central City that's also successful. But that program, while it's not a particular to New Orleans, it's a national program, but it is a successful program because it takes care of children when they're at their most vulnerable time, are most likely to be arrested, which is on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays between 3 and 11 in New Orleans. So throughout my career, I've been involved not only in programs, I've sat on the board of Kingsley House, a volunteer information agency, National Alliance for Mental Health, the National Association of Social Workers Louisiana chapter, and Young Leadership Council, and several other community boards. So throughout my career, not only have I been professionally involved, but also involved in the community as well.
I'm sorry, that's time. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Mr. Darrensburg. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Glapion. Thank you all so much for answering the question.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to answer in that same order, Ms. Felix, Ms. Roberts, and Mr. Darrensburg. My question, starting with Ms. Felix, do you agree or disagree that if a child is ordered to pay restitution as a condition of probation for the commission of a delinquent act, and the child cannot make payment personally, then the parent or other person who is financially responsible for the child shall be responsible for payment of the restitution?
Thank you for that question. If a court orders that restitution be paid as a result of a finding of delinquency for a child, then it would be the parent's responsibility to make sure that that restitution is paid. I will say, though, that one of the things that I want to do when I become juvenile judge is I want to move to a system of restorative justice, right? A system where children can be held accountable for their actions, but also participate in participate with, the victim of the offense, the district attorney's office. Everyone comes to the table because I think that there may be more value in a child either doing community service or doing something where they can see the harm that they've caused and help to right that harm, right? And that doesn't always make a victim financially whole. I found in the juvenile justice system, by and large, a lot of victims, when they know that the offender is a juvenile, most often the victims want the child to stop coming through the juvenile justice system. They want the child to get help. And I think that one of the ways that we can do that is with restorative justice. But to answer your question directly, yes, the parent needs to be held responsible for the restitution if it is ordered.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms.
Yeah, Ms. Glapion, thank you. In regards to the restitution, the children are actually not held responsible if restitution is ordered by the court. It is the responsibility of the parents. And as the parent or the guardian of the child that has been found delinquent by the court, I believe the parent or guardian does have to be responsible. But with that being said, there are many times when, as an assistant district attorney, victims have come into court and there have been findings of delinquency. And I, as the state, have gone to the victims and explained to the victims, look, I understand what your loss is, and not every victim is able to absorb the financial loss that is caused from a delinquent act by a child, but I'm able to speak to a victim and to ask them, what is it that you are trying to get out of this? Is it that you are financially needy and you need the money to make yourself whole? Or is it that you want the child and the parent to understand that there must be consequences for the actions? Many times I'm able to get the victims to agree to have the child do community service in lieu of restitution, because it is the victim's point that they understand that they are not trying to make an impoverished child more impoverished if they can avoid it, but they want the child to understand that there have to be consequences for actions that result in hurting other people.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Darrensburg?
Thanks for that question. Look, at Orleans Parish Juvenile Court, there's a lot of at Orleans Parish Juvenile Court, we become one of the first courts in the South, well, the first court in the South, to remove discretionary fees and fines for families. Look, financial challenges and responsibilities for youth and families in juvenile court is one of the main things that keep kids involved in juvenile court, and is one of those institutional barriers to removing yourself from the juvenile justice system. At juvenile court, we have removed or as many fees as possible, and restitution being one of them. There are many options for families that are interested, that have been harmed in a financial way and can be made whole. The Louisiana Bar Association has the Victims Restitution Fund, where families can go to those things. Again, we have the youth and family specialists at the court can assist families in that process. The families are most interested, and what I would be most interested in as a juvenile court judge is to make sure that when a child leaves the courtroom, they are less likely to reoffend once they have been through the process that my court puts in place. We have lots of options for youth and families that remove them from the system, and we don't want financial obligations to be ones that keep them in. So while we definitely want to make victims whole, as a judge, I would work to make those victims whole outside of the court system with programs and systems that exist outside of them, outside of the court.
Thank you for that. The next question, if you all would answer in that same order. Next question is, what is your opinion regarding the court requiring a child's parent or legal guardian to perform community service? Ms. Felix.
Thank you for that question. My opinion is that when a child commits an offense, then that child needs to be held responsible, and that child needs to be held responsible in ways that are developmentally appropriate. I don't see where there is any value in making a parent do community service for an act that the child did. Children can do community service, and I think that they should do community service if that is a part of their disposition. I think that that's right, that's going to be the value. This is the juvenile justice system is about rehabilitating the child. It is making sure that we are setting these kids up for success. It's about investing in children. It's investing in families. And in order to make that child understand, and in order to make that child sort of acknowledge the harm that they've done, or to make that child sort of like to put that child on the right track, the child needs to be invested in what the child did. Right. And so I don't see where there's much value in forcing a parent to do community service after a child has been found delinquent of the offense, because where's a child going to learn in that? And so that's my position.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Roberts.
So I think I have to disagree with Ms. Felix's statement in regards to that. So when a child comes before a juvenile court judge, the juvenile court judge is given jurisdiction over both the parents and the child. There may be circumstances and situations where it is appropriate for a parent to have to do community service in regards to the situation created by their child. It is not something that I believe should be used in every situation and in every case, but we need to look at each case on an individual basis and each family on an individual basis, and not basically make blanket rules and blanket decisions regarding things like that. So if that is going to benefit that individual child and that individual family, then yes, I believe that it is something appropriate for juvenile court to order.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Darrensburg.
Okay. Yeah, I believe juvenile court is about families. And when the child comes in, a child doesn't come into juvenile court by themselves. What we know is that when a child comes into juvenile court, they've experienced at least 5 traumas in their life. So the whole family is involved in the process. When it is beneficial and when it's beneficial, accountability is good. People think accountability sometimes is bad, but accountability is necessary for moving forward. And accountability doesn't just rest with the child. It doesn't just rest with the parent. It rests with other systems and the family as a whole. So what I believe is that when it is appropriate and when it is healthy for a family, when it is restorative for a family, I believe that everybody could be involved in any type of community service that would be beneficial to making the family whole and strengthening families. The benefit we have in juvenile court is the ability to work with the entire family and to work with the youth for a period of time in their families. So anything that would work to strengthen families, I would be in favor of and working toward in my courtroom. I had the ability and I've shown the ability to be able to create programs that support families and make families stronger. So that would be the focus of any decisions that I made about families committed to community service.
Thank you all. I want to thank you for participating in this forum. So good luck in your campaign. I know it's difficult during this time of COVID-19. Good luck. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all, and good night.
Good night.